Once a revered and faithful man of God, Pastor John Rotimi was known for his unwavering dedication to his congregation and his unshakable moral compass. He was a pillar of strength and guidance, beloved by all who knew him. However, beneath the surface of his pious exterior, a sinister struggle was brewing. As time passed, Pastor John Rotimi found himself increasingly succumbed by his own desires and weaknesses. He began to justify his lustful thoughts, convincing himself that he was entitled to indulge in the fleshly pleasures he had long denied himself. The first time he succumbed to his cravings, he told himself it was a momentary lapse, a minor stumble on his otherwise righteous path. But that initial transgression opened the floodgates, and soon Pastor John Rotimi was entangled in a web of deceit and immorality. He started sleeping with women from his congregation, exploiting their trust and vulnerability. He preyed on their admiration and reverence, using his position of authority to manipulate and control them. As the months went by, the consequences of his action became apparent. 15 women from his congregation were now carrying his children, their lives forever changed by his selfish indulgence. The very people who had once looked up to him with reverence and respect now shunned him in disgust. The news of Pastor John Rotimi's infidelity and the subsequent pregnancies spread like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of outrage and betrayal. His congregation was torn apart, with some calling for his immediate removal and others defending him, citing his years of dedication and service. As the scandal escalated, Pastor John Rotimi's world began to crumble. He was stripped of his position, shunned by his community, and left to face the ruin of his once illustrious reputation. His family, once a beacon of love and support, was now torn apart by his actions. In the depth of his shame and despair, Pastor John Rotimi finally confronted the gravity of his mistakes. He realized that his lust and pride had consumed him, leading him down a path of destruction. He wept for the pain he had caused, for the lives he had ruined, and for the trust he had betrayed. In a rare moment of humility, Pastor John Rotimi acknowledged his fall and sought forgiveness from those he had wronged. He spent years in quiet reflection, seeking redemption and working to rebuild the trust that had been lost. Though his road to redemption was long and arduous, Pastor John Rotimi slowly began to rebuild his life. He started a small ministry focusing on counseling and supporting those who had been affected by his actions. He worked tirelessly to regain the trust of his community, one small step at a time. The fall of a faithful man serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that even the most righteous among us can fall, prey to our own weaknesses. It is a testament to the power of forgiveness and redemption, demonstrating that with humility, hard work, and a willingness to confront our mistakes, we can rise from the ashes of shame and begin anew. Pastor John Rotimi's journey to redemption was not an easy one. He faced opposition from those who felt he was beyond forgiveness, and he struggled to come to terms with the depth of his own depravity. Yet, he persevered, driven by a desire to make amends and start anew. He began by reaching out to the women he had wronged, apologizing for his actions and offering support and counseling to those who needed it. It was a painful process, but he was determined to confront the consequences of his action and work towards healing and restoration. As he worked to rebuild trust with his community, Pastor John Rotimi also sought to rebuild his relationship with his family. His wife, who had stood by him through thick and thin, was devastated by his betrayal, and his children struggled to understand how their father could have fallen so far. Through counseling and open communication, they slowly began to heal and rebuild their relationship. Pastor John Rotimi also returned to his roots, reconnecting with his faith and seeking guidance from spiritual leaders and mentors. He realized that his fall had been a result of his own pride and arrogance, and he walked to humble himself and seek God's guidance in his life. Years went by, and Pastor John Rotimi's ministry slowly began to grow again. He started small, leading a tiny congregation and focusing on community outreach and support. He worked tirelessly to regain the trust of his community, and his message of redemption and forgiveness resonated with those who had been hurt by his action. One day, a young woman approached him after a service, tears streaming down her face. "Pastor John," she said, "I was one of the women you wronged. I wanted to hate you, to never forgive you. But seeing you now, seeing the sincerity in your eyes, I know that God has truly redeemed you." Pastor John Rotimi wept, overcome with emotion. He knew that he still had a long way to go, but in that moment, he felt the weight of his shame begin to lift. He knew that he had been given a second chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. The road to redemption was long and winding, but Pastor John Rotimi walked it with humility and grace. He knew that he would always carry the scars of his past with him, but he also knew that God's grace and mercy had given him a new beginning. And also, he continued to minister, to counsel, and to support those in need. He became a beacon of hope for those who had fallen, a testament to the power of forgiveness and redemption. His story served as a reminder that no one is beyond God's reach, and that even in the darkest depths of shame and despair, there is always hope for a new beginning. Thank you for listening to my stories. What is your contribution to this story? Please let me know on the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.